That's what chorus frogs are. That's the sound of a marsh. If marshes make sound, that's the sound of a marsh.
And Andrew says we'll know the frogs when we hear them. They sing, sometimes a few at a time, and sometimes a full chorus of many frogs. Moving over the hill, we see a small pond below us. There's a wet grassy area leading into it. We think that we hear a few chorus frogs, but they quiet down as we approach. So they get all shy when you...
Yeah, really? But that's the really cool thing about frogs is once you sit there and you sit still, they'll resume what they were doing, so they'll suspend calling for a little bit and go into that duck and cover mode. But once you sit there and they realize, you're not a threat, they'll resume what they're doing, so they'll go right back to calling.
Huh.
Yeah.
We sit quietly for a few minutes, and then, one by one, they start singing again.
It's pretty fun to try to break it down, right? And sounded like two individuals were down there for a while, then a third chimed in, and there was at least one here. And they're actually really rapid calls, so it's just a second or two, and it's like you're running your thumb down the tines of a comb, that sound, right? So you're hearing it, and then they'll do maybe 20 of those, or 25 of those in a minute, so it's just... they're really blasting it out, advertising where they are. Now I hear one over there.
Okay, yeah, so what are they doing right now?
They're advertising their presence, right? So they're standing, they're ultimately trying to attract a mate. But they're letting other males know they're present, that they've got this spot of the pond, and then they're letting a female know where they are. They're so small. The vocalizations can help bring in the female.
Sometimes the frogs will chorus from April all the way into July. And when they really get going, the sound can be intense, like this. But Andrew says their full sound isn't even the most unusual part about chorus frogs. Later in the year, as late fall comes to Yellowstone,
they're looking for a place to go hibernate. We can't see it, obviously, but people who have measured it have started to see changes in their blood chemistry. So essentially, they're creating an antifreeze.
Yeah, he said antifreeze. It's a pretty amazing adaptation, allowing them to survive winter in Yellowstone. A winter that can last up to 6 months. The chorus frogs make their version of antifreeze by producing extra glucose in their blood.
And they're in that state as long as it's snowy. But it's absolutely remarkable to me that they overwinter just inches below the surface.
And the glucose in their blood protects their cells from collapsing while frozen.
And what happens is upwards of 2/3 of their body is frozen. So completely frozen with a heart that has stopped altogether, limbs that don't move, and lungs that don't function.
As crazy as that is, freezing just below the surface turns out to have a big benefit as winter comes to a close.
When temperatures start to warm in the spring, the exact opposite happens, right? You start to get a little bit of heart and lung function, and eventually their extremities start to move. And the cool part about that is when you're really close to the surface and you get some early warm spring days, you're the first to respond. If the other species of amphibians are a meter down below the frost line and deep into burrows, the temperatures aren't changing as rapidly as they are at the surface. So these frogs are the first to get into ponds as soon as the ice and snow is off the surface. And so they're in the ponds earliest because they're the closest to the surface.
This gives the chorus frogs a potential advantage over other amphibians and more time to take advantage of seasonal wetlands that may dry up later in the summer. Yellowstone is home to 4 other species of amphibians, including western tiger salamanders, Columbia spotted frogs, western toads, and plain spadefoot toads. There is one kind of environment, though, that they all need: shallow water habitats. Biologists are concerned about how much of this habitat will be available in the future. As temperatures in the Earth's climate rise, these shallow water habitats could dry up.
One of the consequences of a warmer climate is less snow and less water to fill places